I'm especially proud to introduce the nomination of Paige James Baker Sr. Paige was a friend of my family's, and his family and my family have been intertwined for all of my life. I recall many fond moments at their ranch. Mr. Baker was known by his adoption name as Sacred Horse, and he was born in Independence, North Dakota in 1913. He was one of 13 children born to James and Ethel Tail Baker. He attended school in his hometown, in the Santee Indian School in Nebraska and in Oregon, and he came back to North Dakota during the Depression and got jobs with different ranches and rode saddle broncs and rodeos. He was married in 1938 to Cora Youngbird at Manning, and they had 5 children: Fred, Paige Jr., Mary, and Gerard. I believe they're all with us today. Eventually, they began to raise their own livestock. In 1945, he, along with the help of relatives, chopped logs and put up a house in the Hart Butte area. And they ranched there for 5 years while Cora and Fred spent the winters in Independence so that Fred could attend school there. They moved to McKenzie County in 1952 and built a 4-room log house on the edge of the Fort Berthold Reservation. The family still operates that ranch. Baker worked there for a number of large ranchers, both off and on the reservation, and he was in the last big cattle drive to the Dunn Center Train Depot. One thing that we know about Paige Baker, he loved a good horse. He always had good horses, and he has always had one he could trust a rope from. I remember Paige and myself, that was unique about him is that he gave the horses away. It was one of those first things I noticed, that this guy, when he saw a kid that needed a horse, he saw to it that the horse had a good horse to start out, the kid had a good horse to start out on, and that always impressed me as the most generous man that I'd probably ever known. He was a great believer in modern education. He was active in many organizations, including the member of St. Anthony's Catholic Church in Mandaree. He was on the Board of Trustees of the Catholic Mission there, and he was on the North Dakota Social Service Board, North Dakota Vocational Rehabilitation Board, the Mountain Plains Education and Economic Development Program, and the Mandaree School Board for 12 years. He was involved in the Tribal Council and a tribal judge and court magistrate. A true leader. Baker died of cancer in January of 1982 at the age of 69. Gerard Baker, Paige's son, is here to accept the award for his family, and I hope that Gerard will introduce the rest of this fine family that we're so proud of. Gerard.
Thank you very much, Gene. On behalf of my father, Paige Baker, Yezushka Choba, Sacred Horse or Holy Horse, and my mother, I'd like to right away introduce her and have her stand up. That's Cora Youngbird Baker, please, sitting back there. I'd like to also, just keep standing, Mom. I'd like to also introduce my other siblings that are here. First of all, my sister, Mary Elizabeth Baker Bartholomew. My older brother, Mr. Fred Baker. Another older brother, I'm the youngest, another older brother is Dr. Paige Baker. And the rest of the grandkids and also the great-grandkids. If I can have the whole clan stand up, I'd appreciate it. Everybody. I too would like to, first of all, congratulate the other inductees today's ceremony, especially my relatives that are here today. It's a very, very proud moment for all of us. I'd like to thank the board of directors, the trustees, and a lot of special friends that are here today, including Mr. Gene Veter sitting in the back of me, and a good friend who I spent some time with on horseback myself, and that's Mr. Willard Schnell from Dickinson. My father taught us a lot when I was young growing up. And one of the things I think he taught us the most was the will to survive, to not give up. And in his growing up, he had a hard time. Now, not necessarily with family or with like a lot of young cowboys, a lot of young ranchers, it was tough to make ends meet. And I can remember those days, even myself, as being very, very young. But one thing I've always remembered is that we always had happiness in our family. We always had the strength of the culture in our family, the strength of religion in our family. And that was brought by my father and my mother. I think that was a team as far as growing up on the ranch and getting to see ourselves as to who we really are, as far as Indian people and as far as ranchers and as far as residents of McKenzie County and this great state of North Dakota. My father taught us a lot in his ranching style, which means that he would never give up. If there was a cow, for example, that got away from, not me, of course, but my brothers, he would make it a point that they make sure that they went and got, that they didn't give up. And that has taught us a lot all of our lives. I think he was the inspiration for a lot of younger people on and off the reservation. We were very, very fortunate, my dad used to always say, we're very fortunate where we grew up. We grew up in the Barrington County area, the creek area. And so we had one side, we were just on a reservation. Our back pasture fence, of course, was the reservation line. And on the other side was the communities of the pretty much Norwegian families. And so one day I could be having, at a roundup, for example, having a great good dish of tripe, and next day I could have a good dish of nefla, or whatever that is. So we had a lot of culture there. My father was very instrumental in making sure that we progressed. And he was very instrumental in teaching us how to progress, as far as how to be respectful. That was one of his biggest chores, I think, with his family, was to teach us the respect, not only for ourselves, but for the other people, even for the animals. As his name indicates, his Heradza name indicates, a holy horse, he had a fondness for the horses. And Gene is right, he always had good horses. He always had, they were so darn good that I didn't want to get on them when I was young, so I didn't. I stayed off those things, because they were good roping horses, and I can still see him riding around the pastures, and still see him cutting hay. I can still see him fencing, and we learned a lot from him. Even my day-to-day, when I'm behind a computer nowadays in my job, I still remember him, and I still learn from him. And I think that's the most important thing that these gentlemen have talked about today, the ones who are getting inducted as well, is that we all can still learn from some of them, and from all of them, as a matter of fact, and that is the will to survive as not only ranchers, as cowboys, but especially as North Dakotans. We have a great state. Thank you very much.